One of the biggest challenges in this creative field of photography is staying inspired. That is really a big challenge because the biorhythms of people, you have some good days, some bad days, and you need inspiration. I find inspiration in many different ways. First, let me tell you this. The way I stay inspired while I'm shooting is and this is what I've always done, I would take a book of the old classic, because I was the frustrated painter. I would take a book of the old classic painters that had little pictures of Rubens and Vermeer and Rembrandt and Degas with the ballet dancers and the other impressionistic painters who had just a monochromatic, more pastel tones. And I let that inspire me. And that would be kind of what I would emulate, that kind of lighting, that kind of handling of tones and colors. That's why I used to work with grainy film. That's what I used to turn to. And then there's some great movies. There's a movie that I recommend that you look by the old days, and it really used to turn me on, a Swedish film called Elvira Madigan. And that movie was one of the first movies that really inspired me as far as a photographer. And the beauty of that movie, and a romantic movie, A Man and a Woman, the French film. So these are the movies early on in the 60s that turned me on more so than anything else in photography. And they were films. So when I used to shoot the models in those days, and currently too, I would turn on classical music. I would set it in an atmosphere that is just that dark kind of Renaissance kind of feeling. So I would get those colors. And you could see it in my images, the warm tones that I get from like this image of the group of actors that I got together that was like 1969. And I put them together as a Renaissance kind of painting look. And it's called The Struggle. And I use grainy film, and I use warm tone, warmth of the lighting, and got that feeling together and had the music playing that way. And so that really inspired me to show, to go that way. And then my landscape pictures, they're no different. Or look at my pictures like Andrew Wyeth, that I loved his work, and I still do. So these are the type of things that I go for inspiration. Now, where did I see them? Of course, I did it in the book to follow it like that or to emulate it. But I used to go to museums. Like I said, I used to go to movies, foreign films, look at everything from photography, but not only photography. I think I was leaning a little more towards paintings, but photographers inspire me. And the issue that I had with photographers, I had to go really back to the days of really some great photographs of in the 20s, the turn of the century, and the Steichens and Steichlets and all their work, because they work more like painters and use photography for that, not in the photojournalistic way that you find. But then there are modern day photographers that when I say modern, more contemporary photographers that work with great graphics, great colors. So everybody inspires me. And like I had mentioned to you already, and I say it again, if you see the works you like, copy it. Don't be afraid to. Copy it and emulate that kind of image, because what's going to happen, it's not going to come out just like that. You're going to wind up putting a touch of your own style on it. And that's how you do it. And the style has to evolve. Don't force it, it has to evolve. And once again, one of the most important things when shooting and doing that, if you don't get the image right away, if it's not right, if the light's not right, if the model's not right, forget it. Move on. Don't get to the point that you get frustrated. You want to keep loving photography. You want to be inspired by it. So be inspired by the person you're photographing. Share your vision with that person. Make sure you show that person what you want to get. Here's a painting that I love. I'd like you to be the subject in that painting for me. And I'm going to change that with you in there. Get the person excited. Let them be contributors to your creative process. And together, you'll make some really beautiful art together. And you'll build a rapport, and you'll wind up like I have. So many pictures are models that I've used repeatedly over and over again. Actually, if you look at my first book, Images of Women, I could point out to so many images in that first book that are the same model. They don't look it, but it's the same model that's repeated, using her in a different way or using her with two models or one model. So I always got a lot out of the situation. And talking about getting a lot out of the situation, another way that I shoot and another way that I would recommend you to shoot is to shoot not locked into a tripod, but freehand. So you're holding a camera and you can move, because the problem is the tripod's great. And it's great if you don't fall for running through, like in the film days, 36 frames on a roll of 35 millimeter. If you look at certain images or you look at some of my contact sheets, you will see, but it was different. For example, my fashion pictures, like with Gia, I used that in some of the gallery images. And you could see in there, the full contact sheet. But you'll see in that contact sheet that it's the same locked in way that I have the camera, but I have her giving me different expressions, different moods on each one. So there's subtleties the way she's moving. But what I'm saying is, do not lock yourself in and just the same 36 pictures after that, or with digital, a few hundred pictures all the same. So take it off the tripod, be free, be loose, and also with the ISO and what you're able to push the image. I push the image, and I push the image to get more grain. See, for me, digital doesn't have the personality as film, and that's a challenge, and that's something else that I'll in another section.